Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're cracking open a seriously fascinating digital ecosystem. If you're a side hustler, a collector, or honestly just someone curious about the wild new frontiers of e-commerce, you're going to want to pay close attention. We're looking at Whatnot, a high-energy, completely gamified platform that is totally shaking up how things are bought and sold online. It's part entertainment, part marketplace, and entirely unique. Okay, let's dive into this. To really grasp the vibe of Whatnot, listen to how Fortune magazine profiled them back in 2025. They called it wildly entertaining and FOMO-inducing. A massive site you've probably never even heard of. It's fast-paced, it's super addictive, and it basically leverages that pure ticking clock excitement to drive sales. And hey, just to prove we aren't talking about some tiny niche app here, $5 billion. That's the incredible sales scale Whatnot has hit. $5 billion. It's pulling in millions of users all over the world, consistently ranking at the top of the Apple App Store. So before we even look at the mechanics of how it works, I really just want you to wrap your head around the sheer volume of cash moving through this thing. So here's our playbook for today's explainer. We'll start with the 5 billion selling machine, then the rules of the game, the psychology of live auctions, strategies for serious sellers, navigating fees and returns, and finally, we'll ask, is Whatnot for you? Let's jump in. Section 1. The 5 billion selling machine. What exactly is Whatnot? All right, let's clarify exactly what kind of beast we're dealing with before you even think about setting up a storefront. At its core, Whatnot is an international online marketplace where folks buy and sell thousands of different items. But, and here's the kicker, it's done primarily through live shows and auctions. You aren't just scrolling a static web page and lazily clicking Add to Cart. No, this is a live event. It's happening right now. And that real-time live-action energy is exactly why it commands such crazy attention from both buyers and sellers alike. Section 2. Rules of the game. Getting started. If you want a piece of the action, you got to know how to get on the board, right? The good news is the barrier to entry is actually really manageable for a new seller. Here is how they build a safe, active community right from the jump. Step 1, standard sign up with email or social. Step 2, you agree to their strict terms, meaning absolutely no counterfeit items and no misleading buyers about the condition of your stuff. Step 3, and this is crucial, you verify your identity and payment methods. Then, step 4, you can start selling immediately. Now, what's brilliant here is that requiring payment verification up front applies to the buyers too. It completely filters out all those non-serious bidders, the looky-loos who waste your time on other apps. Every single person in the room has a verified, actionable way to pay. Section 3. The psychology of live auctions. Building FOMO. The mechanics at play here are honestly fascinating. Running a successful Whatnot auction is kind of like trying to create viral web content on the fly. The absolute core of it? Live auctions create FOMO, the fear of missing out. It's the secret sauce that snags impulse buys and cranks up buyer enthusiasm. Unlike a passive listing site where your stuff just sits around waiting to be found in a search bar, Whatnot demands that you generate a literal buying frenzy. But to get that frenzy going, you have to actively build an audience. Dedicated followers who get pinged when you go live and tune in specifically to see you. And look, this totally proves the FOMO model works for the consumer just as much as the seller. Check out this data. 70% of over 9,100 buyers on Trustpilot gave Whatnot a 5-star rating. I mean, people genuinely love this app. They trust it. They absolutely love the thrill of the hunt and the pure entertainment value of a live show. It's basically shopping completely reimagined as an interactive experience. Section 4. Strategies for serious sellers. Let's build your audience. So how do you actually harness all that hype if you're a seller? To figure out what it takes to succeed and build that audience, we're looking at expert advice from seasoned reseller Kaylee Elaine, who has deeply studied what makes Whatnot tick. Here are her core tenets for success. Rapid fire. First, establish a regular auction schedule. You literally need to get on your buyer's calendar so they know exactly when to show up. Second, develop your specific niche and stick with it. Third, run strategic 5-minute giveaways. This keeps viewers glued to your stream. And fourth, offer super bargain starting prices to spark those bidding wars early on and build up some real momentum. Now, what's really interesting here is the massive warning label attached to those growth tactics. It is absolutely a double-edged sword. Sure, bargain starting prices and exciting giveaways build incredible hype in the chat. But if that buyer enthusiasm doesn't catch fire and your items just end up selling for that rock-bottom starting price, you can completely tank your profit margins while moving a ton of inventory. Oh, and remember those 5-minute giveaways? As the seller, you're on the hook for not just the free item, but the shipping costs too. Take a look at this quote from a real Reddit user who actually sells on the platform. They noted, "I still sell more items in one stream than I would in a long time on eBay, but the vast majority of items sell for my starting price." This perfectly grounds all that high-energy excitement we've been talking about with a pretty sobering reality check. You have got to start your auctions at a price you are actually comfortable walking away with, because sometimes that very first bid is the only bid you're ever going to get. Section 5. Navigating fees and returns. Managing those margins. So if managing your margins is really the key to surviving on the app, we gotta talk hard numbers. Let's break down the exact logistical costs of playing the game so you know what your actual profit looks like when you finally end a long stream. These numbers brilliantly illustrate the fee breakdown. Whatnot takes a flat 8% commission on your sales. On top of that, there's a 2.9% plus 30 cents payment processing fee managed through Stripe. Subtract those combined fees, and you're looking at taking home roughly 89.1% of your gross sales as a seller. Honestly, compared to a lot of other online marketplaces out there, keeping nearly 90% of your revenue is a really strong competitive deal. Now, how fast do you actually see that cash hit your bank account? Well, let's map out the timeline. Day 1, your item sells on stream. By day 2 or 3, you as the seller are expected to box it up and ship it out. What's fantastic here is Whatnot auto-generates the shipping labels for you, and the buyer is usually the one footing the bill for freight. Then, fast forward to day X when delivery is confirmed. Exactly 48 to 72 hours later, you get paid. Bam. It's a tight, highly controlled, and incredibly predictable loop. And speaking of a controlled loop, Whatnot enforces a wildly strict return policy. Buyers have to physically return items within a super narrow window if they want a refund. For instance, if you're selling live plants, the buyer only has 2 days to initiate that return. This is a massive, massive win for sellers. Forcing physical returns on a tight deadline totally protects you from the notorious game playing and post-sale discount begging that plagues so many other e-commerce sites. Section 6 is Whatnot for you. Make your choice. Okay, we've seen the mechanics, we understand the hype, and we've crunched the fees. Now let's help you diagnose if you should actually pursue this particular side hustle. Comparing it side by side with traditional platforms really spells it out. Whatnot demands high volume, it targets highly active collectors, it requires real live entertainment skills from you as the host, and it needs a continuous, refreshing flow of inventory. Contrast that with traditional platforms like Craigslist or Poshmark. Those are way better suited for one-off items, passive listings, and casual sellers just looking to clean out a garage or a closet. Whatnot is absolutely not the place to sell your old car or a handful of random household gadgets. It is built strictly for dedicated high-energy volume selling. So I'm leaving you with the big question. Are you ready to go live? Do you have the massive inventory, the on-camera stamina, and the sheer persistence required to master the Whatnot game? It is an incredibly exciting $5 billion opportunity, no doubt about it. But as we've explored today, it takes serious strategy and a whole lot of commitment to claim your piece of the pie. Thanks for exploring this with us, and we'll catch you in the next Explainer.